Richardson, Texas. Look out. SOAR Championship Wrestling presents SOAR Mania, Thursday, February 13th at the Richardson Civic Center. Bell time is at 7:30. This Mania you don't want to miss.
There is nothing that beats good home-cooked barbecue. Since 1941, whether you want real Texas brisket, Virginia ham, southern pulled pork, or fall-off-the-bone ribs, Dickey's Barbecue is the place to go. Come visit us today at 5701 President George Bush Turnpike, Suite 110 in the Target Shopping Center. For lip-smacking, rib-tickling, knee-slapping, foot-stomping, great-tasting barbecue, come see us at Dickey's Barbecue today.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Coughlin Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance to save a ton. Coughlin Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CoughlinInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on.
Yeah, but is it fresh?
At the Jerry Bullitt Training Center, we truly believe experience is the best teacher. With over 50 combined years of knowledge and experience in sports performance and athletic training, our coaches understand exactly what it takes to achieve your goal. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their brand new facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett. Go custom. Get happy. Tell us what you love. We're your local neighborhood window covering experts who truly understand your needs, so we deliver the perfect solution for your home. So check out Budget Blinds of Rowlett, serving Rowlett, Wiley, Saxe, and Garland. Give them a call at 972-722-9300. Budget Blinds of Rowlett, where we listen to our customers' needs. Liberty Air and Heat. Everybody knows what the Texas Heat can do to your air conditioning and heating systems. That's why you need the experts that deliver the best and most honest service in the Rowlett area. We provide the high-quality air conditioning and heating services that keep you more comfortable when you need it. So contact Liberty Air and Heat at 469-678-9444 or visit them on the web at libertyairandheat.com. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement failed to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. Find out how Merchant Masters DFW, specializing in small business companies, can help you save money and protect your customers' information with our credit card processing and point-of-sale system, including financial savings, lowest possible rates, superior technology, and improved support. Or contact John Beeman, Merchant Masters DFW, different from all the rest.
Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports, news, and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and the best co-host anyone could ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. Now, it's time. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. I am on air just because I wanna. Yeah, that's right. That's the new show here. That'll come to you either on a Wednesday or a Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon. Normally, we don't set a time for it as well. It just depends upon my schedule and what is going on. It is showtime as we are set here on the new show. Guys, I'd like to thank our sponsors, of course. You see them come on there a little bit before. We'll be seeing some of our sponsors as well within this show. We thank them. They're the ones that make this show possible and really great to do. And I get the opportunity to go have a good time. And that's just what it is because I want to. And I want to talk some sports, things that we have been hearing from, some news that has happened. And you've seen on the top that we're going to talk about the firing of the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, I am talking about Tom Coughlin. We will talk a little bit about that as there is a lot of news as far as that's concerned. Lots of things to think about as far as that as well. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what to expect here in the show. And I want to start it off with Cam Newton, guys, because I want to. And the reason why I want to talk about Cam Newton is there's a lot of talk about Cam Newton. There's a lot of talk about what's going on, where it's doing, injuries, and all of this other stuff. And we can't talk about that. And you would have valid points to talk about Cam Newton and his injury situation. It's a valid point. Let me turn off my heater because my heater makes a lot of noise. So hopefully, there we go. So that being said, we're talking about Cam Newton, and I don't know who that is, so I won't answer it. Dismiss. So there's lots of things to think about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. There's a lot of things to think about when you start talking about Cam Newton. So let's talk about it. Does Cam Newton have any leverage? And frankly, guys, I don't know if he does or not. I've been listening to sports talk radio here and there, and I don't get it just from one. I don't get it from just two. I listen to a lot of them. And I stopped listening because I don't think people are listening or thinking. Cam Newton, everybody's talking about this guy's going to be on a different football team next year, and I wonder if that's actually the case. Could it be the case? And I don't know. I mean, now, does he have leverage? I don't know. I mean, is he going to be traded? I don't know. Does he want to be traded? I don't know. He says a lot of things that he wants to stay, and just as recent as yesterday, let me tell you what he said. He says, "I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving the team. They're going to have to ship me off in order for me to leave." Well, that's a great thing to say as far as political correctness is concerned. But I will say this. If the idea is to stay good and put yourself out there in a good light, these are the best ideas. But as far as the reality of the sense, as far as the Panthers are concerned, those are questions. Trade? What if he doesn't want to be traded in reality? Is that a problem? Or if he is traded, does he have any say about where he's going to go? And contractually, no, he doesn't have anything to say about that. They can ship him off to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can ship him off to Washington. They can ship him off to wherever they want as far as that is concerned. And they would not be in the wrong. And with that being said, when you got Cam Newton, you got a lot of other things that are going on. You get baggage. And I will tell you that the situation with Cam Newton, I don't know if you can allow him to have a portion about this. I don't know if they can allow him to, strut his stuff? I don't know. Don't think they can. But I will say this. I don't know if you care. So that being said, you got to look at Cam Newton for the future for the Panthers. Let's talk about that future. Will he get along with the new coach? Will the coach get along with him? Is the idea of them taking this job having to have Cam Newton on this football team? There's a lot of questions that have to be answered about the guy who is going to go in and take over this team. And how much of an influence is that coach going to have on a Cam Newton? And I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. And I don't know who they're looking for either. That's another great big question. What is that all about? So he's under contract for one more year. But are the Panthers in a situation where they can try to get something for him? Where are they going to go? They need help at the quarterback position if they get rid of him, because the rookie that is filling in for him right now, not necessarily playing good football. So without it being really good football with the guy that has taken over for him since we haven't seen him since week number 2 of this season, interestingly enough. So new coach, new attitude. They got the interims and everything else as far as that's concerned. So it's right there. I got a message from Steel City Storm saying, since I picked the Bills to win in Pittsburgh, that it made them lose. Well, pretender or contender. Right now, pretender doing pretty well without it. But back to Cam Newton. So what's going on there as far as that's concerned? Where is he going to go? I don't know. I'm just looking at some of my notes, and, I don't know what Cam Newton can bring to the table right now. This guy has been beaten to death. I'm talking to death. This guy, he is a walking ambulance, for crying out loud. So, and the guy takes some incredible hits, which, by the way, is the NFL's fault. They should have been protecting Cam Newton. They have not done that. And that is a drop of the ball for the NFL. And I don't want to hear the fact that, he's a runner. Okay? You still have to protect the quarterback when he's in the pocket, and they didn't do that. He was getting destroyed in the pocket. Never mind outside the pocket. If you want to go ahead and say how much you're going to protect him once he gets outside the pocket and becomes a quote-unquote runner, fine. You can do so all day. This guy was getting beat up in the pocket all the time. And that is the big thing about when you look at Cam Newton, what he can bring for you as a football team. You have to ask yourself your question, is he worth that? It's always got to be in the back of your mind on whether or not you're going to take Cam Newton or not, is whether or not that he's going to be able to remain healthy. So teams like the Bears that have been rumored out there, the Chargers are a team that could probably use a Cam Newton, seeing how the whole situation with Phillip Rivers is might be done. Maybe so. I don't know. So Cam Newton, the trade, let's see here. I wrote something else down here that I thought would be out there. Of course, I don't have my glasses and I can't even read. Oh, yeah, last year of his deal. So look out for that. So Cam Newton is a big question mark for this football team as far as the Panthers are concerned. And then if they do trade him, he becomes a question mark for the team that he goes to. Now, the reason why I am on here today, and I have gotten emails ever since I put it out there. And there's a lot to talk about this, because there's my team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They go ahead and they fire Tom Coughlin yesterday. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this came out of the blue. I didn't expect them to do anything, if they were going to do it, or if they were going to just let this guy step down. But I really thought that was probably going to go through until the end of the year. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. So since it didn't happen, The question has to be, why was this move made now compared to what it is? Well, here is the situation. Good, bad, or indifferent. We talk about owners getting involved with a football team. And in this case, Khan, the owner of this football team, is also the owner of AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Okay. He's got his hands in a lot of things and he wants to be a part of it. Now that they go ahead, and this was what was said as far as this situation was concerned. Let's see here, because I'm not going in any order. I wrote down some of my thoughts and my things of what was going to go on here. Here it is. Khan said this. He says, I was going to fire him at the end of the year, the end of the season, but in recent days, I reconsidered it and decided to make this move immediately. Okay. Now, the key word on this thing, when you look at it, is in recent days. What has happened within recent days that they go ahead and make this move now more so than wait until the end of the year? Well, this is not good for the football team, in my opinion. Because what is happening now with my next note, the GM, Dave Caldwell, and the head coach, Doug Marrone, are going to, quote unquote, report to him on the interim. And this is not good. All you got to do is look at the Jerry Jones situation. Jerry Jones has to feel like he is part of something. The problem with making this move now is he becomes that guy. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's probably not a great thing if you think about it. I don't know if it's the right thing to do right now, considering if you are trying to make things, good for yourself and your squad and your team. How much should the owner be a part of this whole situation? Making the move now puts it into the situation where now the coach and GM are answering to the owner. Now, he's getting a little taste of this, and I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent either. But what I worry about is that this was a guy that let the football people do their football things. Now, and that's where Tom Coughlin came involved. By the way, he was brought in not from the New York Giants, by the way. This guy was also an assistant at one point as far as football operations were concerned for the NFL. Okay, that was his gig before he got there. It wasn't the New York Giants as he was the coach of the Giants. So that in 2016, he was the senior advisor to football operations to the NFL, which in turn gave him, I guess, creds to be that guy for football operations for a football team. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know what he did as the quote-unquote senior advisor of football operations of the NFL. If my thinking is correct, and I think it is, I heard of him getting this position, and I also heard of him that a lot of people didn't like the way that he put it out there. So that's something there too. I'll put these earphones back in if Cuervo calls it. He says he might get on. So now, as the Jacksonville Jaguars now go ahead and get rid of him in 2002, okay? So we're talking 14 years later, they decide after they get rid of a coach who was 68-60 and bring him back in. And I'm going to tell you straight out, when that happened, I'm telling you right now, Sonny Clark was a happy guy. Because let's just be honest, and I'm not going to make mention of the name. Folks that watch this show, okay, know who I'm probably talking about. So those that watch the show know what I'm talking about. There is a former Jacksonville Jaguar that comes up on my show quite a bit, has informed me on a couple of things, and one of them that is really huge is when you went in and spoke to Tom Coughlin, his desk was a little bit higher than anybody else's. It to kind of give you an idea, if you watch the Colin Cowherd show, how his is a little bit higher than the guests. Same situation there. And what I'm telling you right now is that didn't sit well with anybody within the Jacksonville Jaguars organization as the head coach being, having that stature. That stature is one that a lot of people didn't dig on. So when they did make the move after, listen, 68-60 is not good. Listen, he led them to the playoffs. Good, wonderful. But as far as a guy that is barely over 500 as a head coach. So when he got the opportunity in 2004, 2 years ago, to coach the New York Giants, I was shocked that the Giants went that way. But at that time, this was a organization that needed some kind of quote-unquote discipline. Now, that is the problem with Tom Coughlin. Believe it or not, as the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, people were complaining about this guy being hard-nosed, old school mentality. And this is a guy that was brought up with Bill Parcells. So the understanding of the type of coach that he is no great big surprise. Should not be any great big surprise to anybody. So what is going on as far as what are they going to do when they bring him back to Jacksonville? Okay, we're talking about 15 years later and 15 years older and 15 more years of and I have to admit it, as you start getting older, you become a little bit more critical of BS. And that's what he is. Now, he's got 3 Super Bowls rings, okay? 1 is an assistant and 2 is a head coach. 2 at the Giants. The lucky that he is, whether it's the ball catching on the hat, and all that stuff. Which is in turn one of the reasons why when he went ahead and got these positions, especially with the National Football League as a quote unquote senior advisor of football operations, that you would think that they would know. And the Jaguars just go ahead and re-sign up for this guy, knowing what he was before he left. This guy was a tyrant. And the players nowadays, they don't like those tyrants. And we can talk about all the situation regarding Jalen Ramsey leaving this football team. And almost all the reports I'm hearing is that, this was a problem that came from Tom Coughlin. And the reason why the owner got involved with this is because Jalen Ramsey wouldn't talk to Tom Coughlin. Why should he? And that's what he thinks, and that's the way it is. And you can do whatever, say whatever you want about him, Jalen Ramsey, but this is a guy that decided, listen, I'm in a position, I don't care. I'll go wherever. I'll stay here. But I'm not going to listen to this guy go off on everybody, especially me. And that is the situation with Tom Coughlin. Lots of people don't like this guy. This is not the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s of the NFL where that kind of personality gets involved. And then you have to ask the big question. When you hired this guy as your executive vice president of football operations, how much was he actually going to hold that title before his nose got in the middle of what Doug Marrone was doing as a head coach? Now, you think about this. Doug Marrone brought into this team and got this defense 2 years before that, and they were sitting in the playoffs sniffing maybe a Super Bowl. And where have they been ever since? They have gone to, you want to talk about a complete 180. The Jacksonville Jaguars, from that time when they were in the playoffs, making a big statement that they were going to be a presence in the playoffs, all of a sudden disappeared. Disappeared. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it is what it is. So how much, my question is, with this move, was Tom Coughlin getting into the business of the general manager as well as, more importantly, Doug Marrone? Doug Marrone's a good coach. He went in there the first year and set that team up. Second year, they're outstanding. And then all of a sudden, he's dealing with problems after the second year, after the success that they had. Now, granted, this is a football team that has a quarterback problem, but at the same time, that defense was stellar. One of the best in the league. Now, all of a sudden, it's lost. There's no chemistry, and you got a team that has lost its complete identity on the defensive side of the ball. And that's not good. You can mold this any way that you want, but when you lose a whole side, and obviously the most important side, at least for the Jacksonville Jaguars were concerned, the defensive side of the ball, you lost the whole team. And that wasn't necessarily because of Doug Marrone. Now, reports came out early that they were having some words, and we saw the sideline situation with Doug Marrone and Jalen Ramsey. But I'm telling you right now, that's things that happen on a sideline each and every week in the NFL squad. The camera just caught that situation. This goes beyond Doug Marrone because there are coaches that get on guys' asses throughout their career, and then they turn out to be the guy that loves that coach, and he's the biggest influence in their life. And Doug Marrone, at the age of 52, by the way, guys, okay, is a guy that can more identify with the younger players more so than a Tom Coughlin, who is been in this business for 50 years and has not seemed to change what he does or how he conducts his business. And you can say whatever you want about Tom Coughlin. You can say, oh, he was great. This guy is coaching everywhere, okay? Whether it be as an offensive coordinator in college, whether it be a head coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars, whether it be working in with the NFL. It doesn't take much to work with the NFL if you've been part of the NFL for a while. So that is something that you got to remember as well. So you look at these. Now, I got a lot more notes here, and I just started doing this off the top of my brain. I got a lot more, as you can see, I got a lot more notes regarding, this is all Tom Coughlin, by the way, except this little bit right here was Cam Newton. So I got a lot more to talk about as far as Tom Coughlin and the situation with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here because one thing, Sonny needs something to drink. He's got a little dry throat. And we also need to hear from our sponsors, which, of course, we are very greatly appreciative of. You're watching the Couch Potato Sports Show. This is Just Because I Wanna. We'll be back here after these messages.
Ever want to know why Bill and I look so good on our broadcast? Check out K West Designs on Facebook. You can take a look at our pictures and see the quality of the work that comes from K West Designs, especially if you have a special occasion. Just get on Facebook, look up K West Designs right in the search bar, contact them directly for questions or anything that you may have regarding your personal design. Landon Huey and 19 Ministries.
One of the things we want to do is Rowlett Revival, and we know that there are a lot of hurting and broken people across the city. Bring in a guest speaker, and he's just going to share the love of Christ, and we want to connect people in the city up with churches.
So make sure you contact Landon Huey at 19 Ministries at 972-835-8665, or check them out on the web at 19ministries.org or uniterowlett.org. Are you looking for a new home? Want to know what your house could sell for in today's market? Then you need to contact Realtor Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Rockwall. Whether you're buying, selling, leasing, or investing, he can help you get where you need to be. That's 214-236-2914. Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group, Keller Williams, Rockwall.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. So roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors, proud sponsor of the Rowlett Eagles radio broadcast.
Go custom. Get happy. Tell us what you love. We're your local neighborhood window covering experts who truly understand your needs, so we deliver the perfect solution for your home. So check out Budget Blinds of Rowlett, serving Rowlett, Wiley, Saxe, and Garland. Give them a call at 972-722-9300. Budget Blinds of Rowlett, where we listen to our customers' needs.
And welcome back to Just Because I Wanna, as we are here doing the show Just Because I Wanna. And that's the reason why. Hopefully, Cuervo said that he might be able to join us at the bottom of the hour, so we'll see if we can end up getting him here. That will be all about connectivity here coming up on the video and things of that sort. As this show is not actually done on Blog Talk Radio, this is just a show that I do on a spontaneous thing. But obviously, this wasn't too much of a spontaneous thing, guys. From here down to here are all the notes that I have regarding Tom Coughlin. So there was a big message, the big news, obviously, yesterday, Tom Coughlin getting debuted as the executive vice president of football operations for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big story coming out there. And good, bad, or indifferent. You can say whatever you want as far as that is concerned. But was it time? You could ask that question. Was it needed? You can ask that question. There are a lot of questions you can ask regarding the situation with Tom Coughlin. And my notes, the biggest one, this came without warning. But getting back to what I was saying in the last segment, you have a guy by the name of Khan that runs that football team. Now, he has been able to, in his ownership role, to be that owner that lets football people handle football business. He just writes the checks. And he has been a big part of that on the football side of it. And you got to give him his mad props as far as that's concerned, because you got guys out there by the name of Jerry Jones who don't do that. He's got to have that right in the middle of everything that he does, that being his nose, in the middle of everything that happens. All the successes there's got to be some part for Jerry Jones that he can feel like he's the one that made this what it was, more so than just hiring a coach or hiring football people to do what needs to be done. Jerry Jones is not that guy. Now, can Khan turn into that guy with the way that it's happening now with the firing before the end of the season? He's got Doug Marrone reporting to him directly. Dave Caldwell, the general manager, reporting to him directly. I don't know if this next few weeks are going to be, I guess you can, for lack of a better word, an interview in order for these guys to keep their job. Doug Marrone should not go anywhere. Doug Marrone should be the coach of this football team. I was so excited about that when I heard about the hiring of Doug Marrone. But my worry was, and if you go back in the archives of the Couch Potato Sports Show, you'll hear me say it, I was worried about how much of the influence that Tom Coughlin would have regarding his coaching style. We talked about it, and I had Cuervo on as far as that was concerned. And I will say this, guys, this is really simple, at least to me. You got to be able to have guys do their job without actually having people looking over their shoulders so they can do what they do and give them the authority to do so. Now, the authority has changed. There's no question. Okay. With Tom Coughlin pretty much running everything, he is gone. Wasn't necessarily the quote unquote general manager, but he had his nose in the middle of that as well. And both of these guys were handcuffed by Tom Coughlin. So, but if they got rid of anybody, I think they would get rid of Caldwell. And again, I don't know what the situation, the Jalen Ramsey thing is a bad taste in your mouth. It's like a bad aftertaste of some really good coffee. If you have like a peppermint coffee and you have a sweetener in it and you don't like the aftertaste, that's what the deal is. If you don't like the aftertaste, I'm like Sonny, I like a little aftertaste. So now, you got to ask the question, who is being respected, who is not in this whole situation while Tom Coughlin was going there? Was Tom Coughlin getting way too much as far as business was concerned? And a lot of people are saying that, yes, that was a big deal because Jalen Ramsey would not even talk to him. So that's something to keep that. Player complaints about fines and fees heavily brought down by the executive of football operations being Tom Coughlin. Being late for meetings, you get fined. You get this, you get fined. You get that, you get fined. And frankly, a part of me that wants to say, yeah, I'm all right with that. I am completely and utterly okay with that. And the reason being is that if you let one guy go off the rail, you have other guys doing it, and then no one cares about these being serious about their jobs on the NFL level. The fines makes people realize or show other people that you are serious. But from what I was hearing and all the reports that are coming out is this went overboard. But I'm all for fining players for being late to practices, being late to meetings. I'm all right with that because it just shows one is not more important than the other when we all know that that's not necessarily true. So you got that. So the player complaints were big as far as that is concerned. But again, we go back to the fact this firing was without notice. They didn't give Tom Coughlin the opportunity to step down, go out in the sunset. I mean, 50 years in football, my God, that's a lot of years. Okay, he started this in 1969. Okay, so he's been doing this when I turned 2. You know, in the football business. So it started at Syracuse in 1969 as he was a graduate assistant coach. And then he went on to head coach starting in 1970. So the next year he went to head coach the Rochester Institute of Technology football team. Never heard of them, but hey, that's where you got to start. And then he went back to Syracuse in 74 after a 3-year run there, back to Syracuse where he was the quarterback coach for a year. Then he was the quarterback's coach for 3 years. Then he went to Boston College as a quarterback coach for 3 years. Then Philadelphia Eagles, a wide receiver coach for a year. Green Bay Packers for a year at the wide receiver coach. Then he was a wide receiver coach with the Giants and he was there for 2 years before he picked up the head coaching job there. So that's where it is. And then, of course, we all know it as far as where it went, as far as the rest of it. The Giants wide receiver coach, and then Boston College 91-93, which is where one of our guys that come on our show, Tom McManus, met Tom Coughlin, and he brought him down to Jacksonville when he got the Jacksonville job after he got
the boot from Boston College, and they remembered each other. But Philadelphia, Green Bay, wide receiver coach is there, and the Giants, and then the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars in 95. Now, he did take this team to an AFC championship game within the second year. Congratulations. After that, they've really not been anywhere except for a couple of years ago. And when they had that stellar defense and everything else, and that whole thing with Blake Bortles and everything, a bad situation, good defense. And that good defense played very well to make up for a bad Blake Bortles and make it into the playoffs and do what they had to do. And for the last 2 years, this team has been really, in a situation where, they were mediocre at best for the last 2 years after that great year and having that great defense. All of a sudden just disappeared. So you got that going on now. So I talked about the example of having football people run the football team. Khan was really good with that for a long period of time after he bought the team, but now it's going to be a little bit different with Jerry Jones and all that's going on. Now, the situation with the GM and the head coach now, I don't know if the GM is in a good spot. That's Dave Caldwell. I don't know if he's in a good spot. I don't know if they are going or can or will use the excuse of Tom Coughlin getting his nose into everything and causing problems to where they could not run a football team, that being Caldwell and or the head coach Doug Marrone. Some reports are, and I'm reading this from my notes, some reports are is that was a big, heavy problem with this team, as especially for Doug Marrone, because he was trying to run this team the way he wanted to run. And for the last 2 years, they have had interference with the executive vice president of football operations on how the football team was going to be ran. And Doug Marrone and them, they clashed a lot. And that's according to a note that I got online from a reputable place. I look at 3 different places that have reputable sources. I'm not going to say the names of them. It's irrelevant because I believe them. So they come from reputable sources, not some guy writing in his basement, about the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that is where that is. Now, let's see here. Question would be now is, will Khan let them run? Well, they don't have a choice. Doug Marrone and Caldwell are on their own to figure it out for the last 2 weeks. So they're the last 2 weeks of the season, they're playing for their football lives as the Jacksonville Jaguar, either coach or GM. And I don't know how much a GM can really do during that time. His work has already been done. The results out on the football field are partially because of what he did. But again, how much interference came from Tom Coughlin at that time, that part I don't know. So, I don't know how much he can prove to keep his job for another year, but Doug Marrone, him coaching, he's going to be back next year. I don't have a doubt about that. Now we can see what Doug Marrone can do as a head coach without having interference, without having a guy in his ear at all times trying to run his football team. Now he gets the opportunity to run it the way that he wants to. Whether or not he was waiting for that or not, that's huge as well. So they get the chance to run with it in the last 2 games. Now, the biggest question as far as Tom Coughlin is concerned, okay, when that whole thing situation and all the stories that you are hearing, what pops into my mind? And this is, just as I was reading all this and getting all the stuff ready for the show, I got all that stuff ready for the show. These are all my notes on Tom Coughlin. The biggest question that I have when you got guys that want to go do what they do, it reminds me of a couple of people. Okay. 1 in basketball, 2 in football. Okay. And keeping it football, since that's what we're talking about, Tom Coughlin is 1. Mike Holmgren is another. And Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells with Miami, Holmgren with the Seattle Seahawks, and now Coughlin with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The question is can they take away from being a coach and try to be an executive? Do they have the capabilities, especially Coughlin, who's been coaching as long as he has? Can you take the coach out of the executive, or is the executive a coach? And I would think that there's 2 different things there as far as running these teams. Bill Parcells in Miami, horrible. Holmgren, not as much, but not great. And Tom Coughlin, and what he's been doing is the executive for the Jacksonville Jaguars since 2017. So 3 years doing what he's doing, that has been that without question. So are these guys capable? And I was like, well, okay, all right, this is football. I get it. Is there any other sport where a guy that comes that way? Now, this is a bad example, but I'm going to use it because of who he is. Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, outstanding coach, everything that he was doing and everything. He becomes an executive for the New York Knicks. Are they capable of putting this on more so than, that being a tie instead of having the polo? And I don't know. When I look at the three guys who have been trying to do it, there might be some that I missed, but Holmgren was the first one I thought of in Seattle. Then I thought, well, I remember Parcells. He had that same with the Miami Dolphins, and that was a complete and utter disaster. And now we have Coughlin doing the same thing. I don't know if they have the capabilities of doing that job. That's going to be huge. So, Tom Coughlin getting fired, should it, could it, will it be a surprise to people? I don't know. All I know is when I heard it, I rejoiced because I'm a Jaguar fan. I'm a Jaguar realist. Listen to my show. I don't pick them just because they're the Jaguars. I don't pick them just because they're my guy or my team. I don't do that either. So that is huge. Now, some news that is happening, and I got to flip my page because it's going towards schedule time here, okay? Because there is a guy that is out this week, okay? According to what I am reading, quote unquote, likely out. They have not given the final decision on it, but I will tell you right now, Delvin Cook right now is likely out for the game on, Minnesota. He's playing on Sunday. Or mark that, Monday Night Football. He's playing on Monday Night Football against Green Bay. And this is a big game for not to have Delvin Cook in your lineup. And this is coming from Adam Schefter. And Schefter is saying the reports that he's getting, he's likely not going to play. So that is huge. So look out for that. That's one of those other ones. Cornerback from Miami Dolphins, Xavier Howard, had surgery on his knee this week. Wondering about his long-term health is going to be the biggest question. Whenever you talk knees, it is about long-term. Now, some other news. Odell Beckham Jr. jokes about trying to get traded to the Blue Bombers up in Canada. Okay. Now, guys, when we see a guy running his mouth as much as we have been seeing here right now with Odell Beckham Jr., you have to ask yourself the question, Cleveland, do you keep this guy? Cleveland, is it him or is it everybody else around him? Now, with the situation that happened in New York, with him leaving New York, and then all of a sudden Eli Manning, I just go back to the fact that if Odell Beckham Jr. had Jones throwing him the football, I still got that in the back of my mind. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. I don't know if I should or shouldn't. But I will say this, it's definitely a thought. I wish that I knew. I would love to be able to see what that was all about. And could they be happy with each other? By the way, and we talked about it on my show before, but Eli Manning is a guy, okay, all right, that never really got any criticism. But there was one guy that had enough stones to do it. And that's Tiki Barber. If you remember, you go back in there, Tiki Barber was very critical of Eli Manning and how the offense was ran through him. So you can go back now. Tiki Barber was not at all Odell Beckham Jr. Tiki Barber was a class act. Okay. But when he did have problems, he had his ways of talking about it. Good, bad, or indifferent. It ended up where it is. And that having been said, how is that situation with Odell Beckham? How are they really getting along? And something tells me they're not. And the only reason why it tells me that they are not is because Odell Beckham Jr., to me, All right. Something tells me that if he was really happy, we would really know about it. And we're not getting that with Odell Beckham Jr. All we're getting are these. You would hear more about how great things are. We're not getting that. Well, you'll hear it every once in a while. But if this guy was truly happy with the situation in Cleveland, this guy wouldn't shut up about it. Because this guy has a problem with not shutting up about anything. So that is huge to think about. I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing, or whatever the case may be, but that is huge. Now, here's some news. Now, we were just talking about Caldwell getting fired, okay? And now, this was something that came out. We were talking a little bit about the drama that has happened over there in Jacksonville. Well, Dante Fowler, who was a Jacksonville Jaguar, by the way, ended up with the Rams. And then Jalen Ramsey also, he says they were sitting there talking about the drama that was going on the football team, and that makes it more happy the reason why they're gone. Not in the lineups over there in Jacksonville Jaguar. Two former guys, two defensive guys. Fowler, not as big as badass as Jalen Ramsey is, but I will tell you right now, Fowler is a player, and the Rams love him. So that was here. So that firing, no great big surprise. Then 2 hours later, of course, both those guys are talking about hamstring injury for one Richard Sherman. Good, bad, or indifferent. That is not a good thing for the 49ers. They need this guy as much as I hate the guy, because that's all he is right here. He's just a mouth. They need that guy out on the football field. Not only that, here's one thing I know, okay? If you go back at the beginning of this year, okay, when they were in training camp, when he was coming off an injury, you see Marquise Goodwin put this guy in the dust. Now, Marquise Goodwin, one of the fastest guys in the NFL, he's got injuries as well. He's not in the lineup, but he's one of the fastest. But just by that video that I was watching, if he's anywhere near that speed, that could be a problem for the 49ers. That's a big injury for them as far as whatever they got. So look out for that. Trent Brown of the Raiders had been placed on the season-ending reserve, and this was after he actually got named to the Pro Bowl. So he has a season-ending injury, so he's not going to be back. That's a smart thing. You don't want to risk this guy. Right now, the injury is not huge, but they put him on the injured reserve so they can have him back for next year. That's another football team. What's the deal with Derek Carr? Are they happy with him at all? We'll be talking about that here in the offseason as we lead into the 2020 season for the NFL. So look out for that. So the former Giant, okay, that said that he would not apologize for situations of posting on social media, okay, was picked up by the Saints. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know, but it just goes to show that, this whole thing's with, how do you say it? This whole thing as far as social media and its impact and the image that the NFL wants to portray, and I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, but that image from the NFL and or, in that case, the Giants, bad football team anyway, the Saints picking them up, that just gives them more fuel for fire, because I'll tell you, Janoris Jenkins, that guy can play. So, by the way, Phillip Rivers will make his 112th home start on Sunday for the Chargers, whether it be his final one playing for the Chargers. That's going to be the big question. But how do you keep Phillip? Now, listen, through the whole thing, we all know how good Phillip Rivers is, but God, what a bad season. But, as much as I was like really quick, that knee-jerk reaction is like, well, this guy's gone. And then I go and I read a post on social media about how Tom Brady can't play this game anymore. And then I was like, well, wait a second. Now, Tom Brady did not have as bad a year as Phillip Rivers did. Let's just be honest. But the question when you think about Phillip Rivers, was this guy trying to do too much? And that's the reason why you've seen a lot of the interceptions, a lot of the problems, because this team was not put together. They had no chemistry from day one because of the holdout of Melvin Gordon, because of other issues with the front offices and things of that sort. So there's a lot of things to think about.
do the Chargers keep a Phillip Rivers or not? That's going to be a big question as they move into the 2020 season. So look out for that. By the way, Ravens, just to let you know, 12 selections to the Pro Bowl. And that included one Lamar Jackson, which I will even say should be a Pro Bowler. Not a good quarterback, but should be a Pro Bowler. Now, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but the mechanics of an NFL football team, he does not possess. But the other mechanics that, maybe that he is not good at, his legs make up for it. So definitely a good situation for that. AJ Green has decided not to try to play, and this was from a very high ankle sprain that he came into the season. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, when you take a guy like AJ Green out of the football field, I'm not saying that the Bengals would have been a great football team or made the playoffs, but it definitely takes away a weapon, a guy that they probably had the offense around at least 30% of their offense around. And if he didn't, they should have. So, he is done. He's not going to practice for the Bengals anymore. So that pretty much is all done and ready to go. Now, by the way, just to step back on Odell Beckham Jr., he did make a statement that he is not going anywhere, even though he was joking about going to the CFL. But that's the kind of things you don't want to joke about. I would think in reality. It looks like Daniel Jones may be returning this week for the Giants, so we might have saw the last of Eli Manning at home. He may get the start on the road one more time, but at home, I think Daniel Jones that slated to have him come back for that final game, so that was huge to see as well. One for Cuervo, Danny Trevathan, IR with elbow injury. He's done for the season. The Titans put Ryan Suckup on IR, signed a new kicker, Greg Joseph. Goff, thumb bruised. This is the big thing. This is the big story for the Rams. But Goff says that he is confident that the bruise on his right thumb will heal in time for the Rams when they visit the 49ers on Saturday. Again, 3 games on Saturday. We'll go over that really quick before we go off air. So that is huge for you. So those are just some of the news that are out there as far as that is concerned. There's lots of other things that we will cover on Sunday. Make sure you join us at 9 a.m. on Sunday. For that being said, we did a Saturday show on Monday. And we talked about the games, and we're talking about the Houston Texans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both Cuervo and I are on the Houston Texans in that one, so keep your eye out for that one. We're also on New England, but we also, again, just to let everybody know, we did reserve the rights until Friday night, or actually till kickoff on Saturday morning, to change our picks for this week only, because of the fact that we can't be on air Saturday morning because I actually got to work that morning. So, but as of right now, Cuervo and I are both on the New England Patriots on Saturday. And then on Saturday night, the San Francisco 49ers are at home. They'll be taking on the Rams in that, injured thumb. That even makes me feel more better about my San Francisco pick, because I was in question whether or not they'd have a good bounce back game. But the injury to the hand, that's a huge injury. In fact, I don't know. This is a team trying to make it to the playoffs, and they have to deal, in reality, as far as that's concerned, in the North, it's they got to deal with Minnesota. One more game, whether Minnesota wins or not, they're playing Green Bay. So that's a big game on Monday Night Football for the division as far as that, and then going into the last week in the NFC North. So big stories there. So, what we did here is a show that I did. It's called Just Because I Wanna. Okay. And we'll be doing this show either on a Wednesday or a Thursday. This week it happens to be Thursday, in between 10 and noon. No set times, because I'm just going to jump on the air just because I wanna. And that's the name of the show. Check us out here on Wednesday or Thursday. I am out of here, everybody. I hope everybody has a great day. We'll catch you on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. On that being said, on the Couch Potato Sports Show, I'm Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.